welcome. Welcome to today's live. Today we're going to talk about that you have to be ready to stop suffering in terms of chronic pain, in terms of migraines. This was a thing I realized in a long time after I started my self-healing journey. And my journey on understanding migraines, why are they occurring, why are they here, what are they here to teach me, instead of just accepting them and bluntly trying to suppress them and escape them. So yeah, this is a very big layer, and you need to understand that you need to be ready to let go of that pattern of the migraine, to let go of that layer of pain, but at the same time you need to be aware that it's okay if you're not ready. You can have an attempt of being able or being willing to do it, to being willing to let go of a certain layer of that migraine pattern, of that mind pattern that creates that migraine. And this will bring you closer towards the dream reality we want to live. It will have to go step by step. It will never be as if like you do one visualization, you do one meditation, and you will give that migraine away, and then magically. Maybe it will be a miracle for you, and you will understand everything in one moment. And there have been situations, and I've heard stories about people trying some kind of therapy, and they understood with that one session, they understood everything, and they let go of that migraine. But I think my journey is to teach, because I myself, even though I've relieved, let's say 95% of my migraine pattern, there's still this 5% where I do get a migraine occasionally, and I do have an understanding with it. It is a spiritual practice at this point already. I do really see through it. I see clearly like what it's telling me. In that high intensity of pain, I do get understandings and I do receive messages. But at the same time, I'm probably here to teach you, to guide you, that even though you're experiencing long-term chronic pain, it will be getting easier, better along the way. But as you along the way are ready to stop suffering, to let go of that pattern, because that pattern is not only yours, it's also your parents, your grandparents, your whole ancestor line, your whole lineage carries the pattern of the suffering, of the self-punishment. It's not occurring, maybe you're the first one starting it for some reason, but it came as a reaction to a pattern that in your ancestral line is. Okay, so meaning that even though you can be the first one in your family experiencing chronic pain and migraines, you can be, because it goes as a reaction to something that's already there. That pattern of saving your energy somewhere in your body, to not letting it go, to not allowing the flow, which is the opposite of a migraine, and to store this, the pattern of storing. It's like a mechanism where something arises, and once we're not ready to understand it and let go of it, learn from it and let it go, then it stores in our body, then it stays there, then it gets on the layers, then it accumulates the layers, and then it occurs on the long term, where it might bring up some uncomfortableness, as I call it, which can be migraine, can be chronic pain, something like that. And so you need to understand that there's a whole system of beliefs that has been put into place over many, many years, over not only your whole life, you have been programming your mind to this, but also the ancestral line, your relatives, the ones before you. Okay, so this actually is the goal of this, why I'm saying this, is to make it easier on yourself, to be kinder to yourself, that you're not meant to resolve everything overnight. You're not meant to be maybe pain-free overnight, because there's more for you to learn, and that journey is the goal for you, the whole journey. And again, why I'm saying this is because sometimes we have the tendency, when we're on the self-healing journey and we are improving, we are easing things for ourselves, we are creating the life we desire, we are creating the great life, we are living most of it, most of what we want, but still maybe there's a pattern of pain occurring, and again the migraine is here, again it's occurring, and that's okay. You need to understand that you don't have to have everything figured out right now, you don't have to have everything resolved right now, because it is a part of the journey wherever you are right now. So for me, it was a big part of a limitation, that even though I was still experiencing migraines, and I did make such a huge progress, such a huge shift, such a immense understanding, I was still limiting myself from talking about it, sharing this wisdom, that even if I help one other person be kinder to themselves and have the hope, that was my primary target, was sharing hope that you can become migraine free, you can become pain free, which in my past reality wasn't true. Migraine was a stable part of my reality, it was on a daily basis. Now it's on a maybe monthly basis, but the difference is from the approach that I have towards it, the way I love it, the way I accept it, the way I can work with it. And I can work with it neutrally, I can work with it as an energy. But it is about this way, about this changing the approach. And I don't know if ever I will be without a migraine. And I don't know if that's the goal. But I know that always I am making the next step towards what I really want. And this is also a very, very hard thing to sometimes realize. We talked about it on one of my sessions today, and I'm super grateful for this collaboration I have right now, because I will share it with you, because we got to the point where we realized that our goal is, we don't want to do anything, and the doing, because the doing has, by social programming, become so engraved. It has become like, doing has become a negative thing. It has become something that the society pushes you to do, pushes you to believe that you must do in order to have. But you must be in order to have. The primary essence of us wasn't to come here and be slaves, wasn't to come here and be working ourselves up and getting sick through that process, because we forgot maybe the original purpose why we are here. And every single one of our purposes is to just be here, to just come here and be. And this might seem like doing nothing, could be understood as lying on the couch and not being aware of anything, not doing anything at all, but it doesn't negate creating. It doesn't negate me coming up to this live and sharing what I have understood, what I have learned with you. It doesn't keep me from leaving an imprint of my work that for me is personal, and for me is my primary target, to heal myself. But I know that hope that I didn't have, if ever there was someone giving me that hope, or just showing me, shining on that path, that there is hope, that I can get there, and that helps me navigate my own journey, that doesn't allow me to spiral into the despair and the complete agony and like giving up, the like thought of giving up completely, okay, that no longer needs to be there. If you do decide that suffering doesn't have to be a part of your life, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming, no matter if you choose whatever path you choose to do. You do choose having a business, you do choose having your little practice, you do choose just being there. You don't have to be punishing yourself for that, but that is your work here. That is what you came here to do, is to find that way how to allow yourself to stop suffering, how to allow yourself to let go of that guilt, for the best intention for everyone around you. Because what happens if you dare to live that life, that really, really honest life that you want, no matter what it is? If it does really mean doing nothing, just being there, doing nothing in terms of I have to do in exchange for getting something. Okay? Because then the doing looks differently, right? When it's not conditioned into I have to do in order to survive, I have to do in order to get something, in order to get money, then obviously there will be a trigger of someone making a living a different way by not doing. And what is that going to look like for you? What would that reality be like this? So maybe for me, the task here is to open up this topic for you to think about it. What would that look like for you? Because even with this digital world, we have sometimes learned to become like slaves of our own creations. We are masters at creating work for us, doing the unnecessary. We're masters of making ourselves busy, of inventing what else we have to do, what more we have to do. But what if you take that opposite approach? What is the least I can do? And then you will probably come to your being here is enough. And there are always ways where if you allow yourself to be, then maybe that will be the answer, that your being here is enough and you need nothing more to do, nothing more to change about yourself. But that comes with the flow. Because if you're in the flow of being, you're in the flow of life. The change is the natural state. I had a podcast episode about this, how understanding that you are the change. And if you are changing, or if you are trying to make it work, if you are trying to do in order to get, then you're always separating from yourself, from your being. Then that's where the suffering occurs. Because the migraine and the chronic pain never, never, never occur for no reason. As much as our mind is very great at telling us so, as much as our mind is always putting together things to convince ourselves, it can't be that easy. Hard life is hard. It's probably telling these things, okay? But what if it is? What if it can be? Maybe that is the only reason why you're here. To think about this and just step into it. Just step into the not doing, and that might be the hardest thing you ever do. Learning how not to do. Learning how not to need to do. What if it does work? What if the universe will catch you no matter what, and the impossible will come through this? Through the stepping and just that decision. Okay, it's gonna be maybe hard, but I'm gonna try anyway. I'm gonna try to achieve that desired reality that inside, looking back, the calling has always been there. What is it I truly want? Not doing, not creating more stuff, because with creating more stuff, we actually create more of our walls, more of things we don't need. We surround ourselves by more stuff because we're looking for the answer outside. Not only stuff that clutters our mind, but stuff that clutters our houses, our reality, the doing more, the constant need of achieving more, the doing more. But isn't that the source of the suffering? Isn't that where you aren't aligned and where the migraine occurs, where the pain occurs? So observe this and try to see this, because we create our pain through escaping the present moment. When we travel into past and future, when we travel into worries, when we travel into guilt, we go into guilt. We feel through guilt. We have that feeling of guilt. Does it affect someone if we are gonna feel guilty about doing nothing? Is that gonna help and benefit someone in the end? It's probably not. And what happens if I step into the doing nothing and learn how to let go of the guilt? And through that doing nothing, I inspire, yes, the being is enough. My being here is enough. My being here is more than enough, because it offers me, and that is what gets me into the flow of life. That is what connects me to the infinite possibilities. Because why would they be infinite possibilities? Why would every visualization lead you to connect to the infinite, to the universe, to the infinite possibilities? Why would that have to contain suffering in it? If I wanted a perfect world and a world of infinite possibilities, yeah, maybe suffering will be a learning tool to an extent, and pain will be a learning tool. But when is this gonna end? When I decide that it ends. When I decide it's gonna be enough for me to be, and I no longer need to punish myself for being. Because we punish ourselves for being, actually. Because whenever we believe our being is not enough and we have to do more, that's where the pain occurs. That's where the origin of the pain comes. Okay, I'm just gonna check through my notes. Whenever you separate yourself from now and sow your true purpose of being, you create an emotion or a sensation. That's from the separation. Those are also your comfort zone limits, the comfort zone you have created for yourself. You're free to decide what you want to do in this life experience and how you want to do it. You decide how you want to feel and you create your experiences. And suffering is a choice and pain is a choice, both on the conscious and subconscious level. I speak about this on the other video. On my YouTube video about pain, the first one of the self-healing journey. I think I'll do number 3 today about fear. And it is very important in pain and in self-punishing patterns to understand that suffering is a choice, pain is a choice, both subconscious and conscious level. So you are going to be the one to decide to step into letting go of that suffering. Okay? You're going to be the one to decide that the reality you desire, that deep down you know you want, if it's in that case doing nothing, you're going to decide if that will be aligned with you, and you're going to allow yourself and all the world to assist you in this, the universe to create the synchronized events for you so that this is going to come true very easily. And this is where the change from pain and suffering and chronic pain and migraines, this is where the real change happens. Once you are ready to let go of it. And it's okay, again, if for a long time you're not ready to let go. Part of your learning. But always accepting it and working with it as energy, as this is not me, this is something I have created for myself. This is some form of energy I have needed to protect me. Self-punishment patterns are always here to protect us. Whatever is in our reality is here to protect us. I have created it to protect me. And now I'm going to recreate it. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to open what's in there for me, for what that understanding is. And then from there I can step out from the suffering. But no one is going to come to let me go from the guilt feelings, from the feeling bad about things. That is a part of it, and that is what I carry, and what I have, again, maybe in the open center of the head, in the human design, what I have received, what was meant for me to have. I have all the answers now, all that stuff, and I select through it what no longer works for me, and the most engraved ones, the most engraved patterns that are again from the ancestral line, from the family lineage, that are there engraved. I carry them, but maybe the only purpose of me being here is to transform them. I'm the one to step into that light, to create the impossible. Somewhere else it's possible. Over there, for them, from the others, for the separated from me. By coming back to myself, to me being a part of this whole, I am a part of that one other for who it's possible. With that, I allow it to myself, and with that, I allow it to change it for my whole system, for the whole mind system that is connected to me, which is my ancestors, my family, my line, people that surround me, that I choose into my reality, consciously and subconsciously. So letting go of that suffering, self-punishing, suffering pattern, migraine and chronic pain, is when I am ready to stop suffering. It can't come at the same time as I want to be suffering. Because this decision, want to be suffering, is engraved there. That we know how to do. That we know how to keep going in the system of doing in exchange for being able to be. You see this? So there's doing outside of me. I separate myself to go into the doing, and then from the being, from the doing, we project the self-worth, the self-value. And the being, even we give ourselves the possibility of be through the doing. We always define ourselves by what we're doing. What if I decide there's no doing anymore? What if I decide there's only being? Therefore, that value has to come from the being. If we establish this harmonized state in ourselves, within ourselves, which is we create our own roots, we anchor ourselves, no matter what happened, what's the story of our line, of our childhood, what we were telling ourselves. If we create that base inside of us and allow ourselves to have the roots, to have the self-value based in us, regarding everything, regarding relationship, regarding health, regarding money, regarding all energetical transfers, that is the moment where I can let go of suffering because I no longer need it. As long as I'm going to be defining it on the doing, I'm going to be separating, and I'm going to need it. It's going to be coming back. The pain is here always to teach us, luckily. But maybe this is the moment where we can let go of it. Maybe this is the moment where we can decide to change it, and change it by accepting that we are the ones who came here in this way. And the surrounding, that we chose are the perfect ones. Probably the opposite, exact opposite, which makes it so hard for us to be who we are, because we are trying to be like them, more like them. We don't want to disappoint the ones closest to us. We're inspired by them. We love them, no matter how they are. Okay, but what is the realization, the understanding? We're here right now in the perfect way, and we came here on the purpose of being who we are, and exactly for the purpose of them seeing us. Because if we looked at it from their perspective, they already see us like this. We're the ones, and especially the ones suffering with pain, suffering with migraine, punishing ourselves from not being able to fit in, maybe, to be like them. That's any separation. But stepping into it helps it when you do it consciously. If you do it subconsciously, or the flow of life, I believe it will guide us there no matter what. But consciously, and then we can let go for it to be subconsciously. So then the channeling comes up, the information, the right things, the knowing. We connect back to our knowing, to our intuition. That is where, in this connection, I'm based in myself. No more, I no longer need the suffering. In what the suffering also does, and the pain also does, is it corrects my behavior for me. It's a mechanism that I have put into place, not to be too much, not to be too seen, not to be too heard, to limit myself like this, right? Because it keeps me in some kind of safety, in some kind of comfort zone. Suffering is safe. I know the boundaries. These are my boundaries. Over those boundaries, it's too much. So the mechanism of pain, I can even feel it doing this. Mechanism of self-punishment. Once you dive deep into the feelings, no matter what you do, then it's coming. The boundaries are there. You can feel them. They're creeping up a bit gently once you develop the sensitivity by daily practice, by observing the migraine, by observing the pain. Comes creeping up. As soon as I do this, I can really feel it's coming up. Breathing. Connect back to the breath, and then you're back. Connect back to your anchor that you have created. That's the point where I can let go of suffering. Where no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone thinks, it doesn't matter. Because at that point, I'm okay. Because I'm anchored within myself, and my being is okay. No matter what else occurs on the outside, in that outside reality, which sometimes is so credible. And in a way, you can imagine the suffering and the pain and the migraine as a boundary from myself and on the edge of the reality. So I'm touching the reality. That's where the pain arises, occurs. Wherever I'm transforming the belief into what's outside defines me. What's doing defines me. My value is outside, I take it in. And with this arising of the pain, it can become a great indicator of understanding. I'm going to change the direction. I come back to my body. I come back to the center. I come back to my breath, to my intuition. What is it? What's the purpose? What's the being? Always ask myself. I come back, and then I know. Because inside I have that grounding. The harmony is inside. The peace is inside. From there, I project it into the creation, not into doing that defines me back. This was interesting. Happy to be here. Hope this resonates. And moving to flying to Czech Republic tomorrow, so I'll see if I'll move the live a bit earlier or later. And tomorrow we'll talk about conscious and subconscious levels of the mind. Interesting. And I still have to figure out when. So maybe it will be earlier, maybe later, maybe I'll cancel it. Let's see how it goes. But maybe at the airport it will be fine to do it. And I'll save this one on the page again, so you can come back to it and listen to it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you later.